Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Oline and I'm a knitter from Norway. Recently I've been really obsessed with this one pattern, the Blouse No. 1, and I've just kept coming back to it. I knitted the first time and I was not really sure if it was going to be like a big hit or kind of a miss, but as I was knitting it, I really enjoyed it. When I finished knitting it up, I really enjoyed it, and that just turned into the Blouse No. 1 being quite an obsession knit for me. So I have now, in the span of just about a month, I think, knitted 3 different times, and what I really love about this pattern is that from those 3 different times of knitting it, I've gotten 3 very different finished pieces. So the one I'm wearing right now was the first one, and this is very close to the original pattern. I follow the pattern exactly, just with a bit of a different yarn, and then I made it one time with a lot of a thinner yarn, and that turned into a t-shirt, which I absolutely love. This is just something I can throw on really quickly, and I really love that, but that's quite different from the original. And then I also at the end knit this, which is a dress. It's quite close to the original pattern at the top, and then I knit it way longer to make it into a dress. So I have knit the pattern 3 times and gotten 3 very different finished pieces, and I really wanted to today to both show the process of me knitting this up, because I have some clips from knitting all of these up that I thought I'd share with you, and then also talk a bit about each of them separately, but then also talk about all 3 of them and kind of compare them, talk about what I like about each of them, and just the pattern in general. So that's what I thought I'd share with you today, just a more in detail video all about the Blouse No. 1 and what I've been doing with it. But I thought I'd start with my first Blouse No. 1 and the one that most closely resembles the original. The first Blouse No. 1 that I ever knit, the original as I like to call it, was this one, my turquoise Blouse No. 1. That is, as I say, it is the original. It is quite close to the original in the pattern as well, because this is the only Blouse No. 1 I made that I have completely followed the pattern. The only difference in mind as to the original is the yarn I chose to use, because I wanted to use something in my stash and I had quite a lot of the drops cotton merino, and this color really spoke to me. I could really envision a summery garment but with long sleeves in this color. It has sadly been discontinued. I think it is the turquoise color, and I think it is discontinued, but I think it is a great color. I love blue, I love vibrant blues, and I really think this is the perfect color for a summery sweater. So I really wanted to do that, but that's really the only difference and the only thing I did different than the pattern for this one. This was the first I knit, as I said, and I wanted to follow the pattern, get a feel for it, and I had my doubts while knitting this because I am not really a person that really likes unfinished edges, and that is a major thing with this pattern. It's a major part of the details of this pattern, that all of the edges are unfinished. You don't do ribbing, you don't do I-cord, you don't do anything for any of the edges. And as I was knitting this, I was a bit unsure about the neckline, and then I finished the body and I was really unsure about that because it kept curling up. But I decided to just stick with it, trust the process, really pray that blocking was going to sort it all out, and I knit the sleeves as quickly as I could because I just really needed to get to the point of the blocking to see if this would turn into something I actually liked or not, and luckily it really did. As you know from this video, it turned out to be a pattern I really love, but blocking it and being able to like dry it and kind of roll out those edges really helped. And of course, now that I am wearing it, they still roll up a bit, and I still find myself like kind of petting them down because I don't love edges that roll up. But as I'm wearing it and as it has relaxed with the blocking and wearing, I find that it's not really a big issue for me. It's definitely not as big of an issue as I thought it would be the first time I saw the body of this rolling up. And from knitting on this, I learned how much I just really take pleasure in knitting up big garments with loads of stockinette, and this is just stockinette. The whole of this is just stockinette. You have a tiny bit of purling in the start with the German short rows, but then you can just do knit stitches, and it is amazing. I love doing knit stitches. It is like being able to turn off a switch in my brain, and it's really meditative. One thing is in the start when you're doing increases, also shoulder increases is my favorite increase to do, so that was great. I also really love the way that fits on me, and then the body, the sleeves, all of that is just stockinette, stockinette, stockinette. I know some people can find that a bit boring, just endless stockinette with nothing really happening, but that is maybe my favorite thing to do because, as I said, I can just turn off my brain and go, keep my hands engaged, and that was great with this project. And as I neared the finish, I realized that I wanted more of that, even though I was a bit on the fence about the curling up of the sleeves, but immediately when I found out the sleeves wouldn't curl up more that I'm willing to live with, I knew that this was not going to be the last blouse number one I made. And it is still the blouse number one I use the most because I made it first, so I've had a bit more time to use it, and also it is just so wonderfully able to fit every type of weather and occasion. I can use this when it's warm because it has a bit of cotton, it has like big flowy sleeves, it's breathable, it's great for warm weather. But I also made it using 50% merino, so when it's colder I can also use it, maybe layer it up a bit because it is a bit short and very flowy and breathable, so it can be a bit cold, but it really fits a broad variety of weather and occasions, and it makes it so easy to wear. Also, it's just wildly comfortable to wear and easy to throw on, so it's just become a sweater I gravitate towards. Also the color, it's very easy to gravitate towards this in the summer months, so I just gravitate towards this and I grab it, pull it on. It's so great to wear. So this was a great start to like the blouse number one saga, and I am so glad that this sweater showed me blouse number 1 and what a wonderful pattern it is, and that I had such a great experience knitting this up, and that led me to all of the other blouse number 1s I made, because I love my collection of blouse number 1s. But I think that is it for my original one and the details on that. This was the second blouse number 1 I knit, and I would say that this is the one that's the most different from the original pattern, because I made a few modifications to this one without really knowing it. I just didn't read the pattern as closely the second time knitting it, and a really big change also was the yarn I used. For this I used Drops Baby Merino, which is like half the thickness of both the intended yarn and the other yarn. I used the cotton merino. This is half the thickness, so because of that changed the gauge a little bit, and since I still knit on 5mm needles, it is a lot more see-through and gapey. It's still so great, it's so breathable. I really enjoy the fit I got, and I really love t-shirts. I didn't know that this was going to be a t-shirt when I started knitting it, but I tried it on before starting knitting the sleeves, and I love t-shirts, and I love my t-shirts to look kind of exactly like this. So when I tried it on and this was how it fit, I immediately knew that this had to be a t-shirt, and I'm so pleased with that decision, because this is tight fitting enough and warm enough and thin enough to be a great layering piece. I'm loving it in the summer because the summer here isn't super warm, and it is really breathable, and it is really gapey, and a t-shirt, short sleeved, everything, so it works in the summer. But I also use this for layering under chunkier sweaters or cardigans, and it works really well for that. So this kind of filled another hole in my knitted wardrobe. I don't really have a lot of knitted t-shirts because I am very specific with what t-shirts I like, but I really enjoy this one, and I've now filled a bit of the hole in my knitted wardrobe when it comes to t-shirts, and this is way better for layering. The other blouse number 1 is not really great for layering because of the wide sleeves, and they would just get really bulky if you tried to wear that under something, even a jacket, whereas this I could easily use with a jacket, another sweater, and layer it up, probably multiple layers. So I really enjoy that for this one. For this one I also forgot to do the German short rows, but the edge here curls up a lot more because of the yarn being thinner and just having less structure to it, so it still gives that rounded edge to the neckline, so it's not like it's choking me or anything just because I forgot the German short rows. You also don't do a lot of German short rows on the blouse number 1, so I wouldn't say it is super necessary if you forget. I don't think it's necessarily worth it to frog it and go back and do the German short rows. I've done with and without, and it is fine without. I haven't really noticed any differences, so that's one difference I made. And I didn't do it by I didn't mean to do it, I did it by accident because I forgot. And then another thing I did that I also didn't notice I did is that after the shoulder increases, you're supposed to do some regular raglan increases both on the sleeve and on the body. I also forgot to do that, so the body is a bit slimmer with less stitches than it's supposed to have, but I have also really enjoyed that for this t-shirt, and for the sleeves to not have that many stitches, since this turned out to be a t-shirt and I want to be able to use it for layering. I'm really happy that I have fewer stitches, so it's not bulky, and so it is more tight sitting, also because of this fabric is so flimsy and has a lot less structure to it. I think it is breathable enough without also being super flowy, and it is still a good amount of flowy, but I just enjoy the fit of this a lot more than if it would be way out here, and that would also make the armhole a lot deeper, and I don't think that would suit this t-shirt as much. So I'm really happy that I kind of forgot to read the pattern a few times when knitting this up, because it really gave me a much better fit for the end product I ended up having. But with these blouses, I really noticed, first of all, how bad I am at reading patterns the second and third time knitting them, because I think I know what I'm doing a lot more than I actually do, and also how fun just going with the flow can be, even though I made some mistakes, just trusting the process, going with it, and it has helped me get some truly amazing end results that I'm really happy with, and also open my eyes to how many small tweaks you can do to a pattern, just cutting out some increases here and there, not doing certain steps or maybe doing more of certain steps, and that's been really fun to just see how many different things you can play around with. But this is my third t-shirt. As I said, it is in Drops Baby Merino. That also made this super lightweight. I think it's just over 100 grams. And I think this would also be really nice as a long sleeve shirt, probably still without those last raglan increases, but as a long sleeve that you can layer, this would also be really good. I think I would do tight fitting sleeves for that. But that's maybe something I want, so I don't think this is my last time knitting the blouse number 1, and I think if I were to do it again, the next thing for me would be to make it in thinner yarn, but a long sleeved version, because I think that could be a really nice layering piece, or just a nice breathable summer outfit, summer sweater as well. But this is my second time knitting the blouse number 1, and also the time knitting the blouse number 1 where I had to frog the most, because I knit almost all of the body on the wrong needle size. I had knitted on 5.5mm needles instead of 5, and it being such a small change, I didn't notice it until way later, so I had to frog it all back. But luckily, it being 5mm needles, it knit back up quite quickly again, but definitely made a fair share of mistakes doing these blouses number 1, but all in all I had a lot of fun, and this has also been something I've used a lot. If I'm not wearing my first blouse number 1, I am probably wearing this with or without something else. So, but that is my second blouse number 1. then last but definitely not least, I have my third blouse number 1, and I think I want to say that this maybe is the blouse number 1 I'm the most proud of. This is the blouse number 1 that I turned into a dress. It is really similar to the original one. Some modifications to the top, but it's really similar to the original one, and then I just knit the body as long as I had yarn for, honestly, and it hits me about mid-thigh, and I am so happy with it. It turned out so good, and if you're more interested in this dress version, I have a whole own video all about the process of knitting up this dress if you're interested in seeing that. But this was my last version of the blouse number 1. I kind of worked my way up to this, and I love it. I did the same thing with the raglan increases on this. I didn't do them also by mistake on this one. I didn't even realize I hadn't done it on the t-shirt until I realized I hadn't done it on this, which means that the body is a lot more tight-fitting and the sleeves are a lot more tight-fitting, but I did long sleeves on this one, and I did also a couple more increases here to make these flare out than the pattern asks for. And also it's a lot tighter here because I didn't do those raglan increases. I knit this in the same yarn as my original blouse number 1 in the Drops Cotton Merino, and it is such a comfortable yarn to wear and to knit with, and I really love that I made this dress with that yarn, because this dress is short enough and in cotton and everything, so I can use it in summer, but with this color and the merino and the long sleeves, I also cannot wait to use this more during fall and winter and other seasons than summer as well. I think this is going to be great, since this is a dress and it is a bit more to wear. I don't wear this as much as I do my other 2 blouses number 1, but I still treasure this a lot, even though I don't wear it as much. I just don't wear it as much because it's not as practical, but as I said, I think it is the one I'm the most proud of, and I had so much fun knitting this up, and this was the one where I thought the most about making modifications. I am so glad I ended up making one modification without even noticing it, the raglan one, because that means it is a lot more tight fitting on the body, and it is just the right amount of tight fitting on the body to also fit over my hips, and I didn't have to do any like decreases for my waist or increases for my hips, and I'm really glad I didn't have to do that and try to like line those up to hit at the right point. I just forgot to do the raglan increases here, and then everything just fit perfectly, and the armhole depth wasn't too like deep or anything, so I love that, and I really enjoy not doing the raglan increases, honestly, and the fit that gives, but I also do love the raglan depth I have on my original one and how that fits and how that is more like the intended fit, but I'm not a huge fan of those huge armhole depths and it being super flowy. I love having one sweater like that, but I don't need multiple, so I'm so glad that I by accident forgot to do it on my other ones, because it's made them so wearable for me and I really enjoy them. And all 3 of the blouses number 1 I've knit have turned out so differently, both by my decision, because I decided on different yarns and I decided to turn this into a dress, but also just by accident and me forgetting to do certain parts. One of them doesn't have German short rows, 2 of them don't have the raglan increases, 1 of them is a dress, 1 is a t-shirt, 1 is a sweater, and they're all perfect. They're all blouse number 1. I got all of them, all of the different pieces from just one pattern, and I think this pattern was so worth it because of that. to try to wrap it up, I have really enjoyed working on all of these. I spent like a month almost only knitting on different versions of the Blouse No. 1, and I learned a lot both about what I like when it comes to knitting and about how much I have to frog because I don't read patterns super closely, about going with the flow even when I didn't write, even when I didn't follow the pattern exactly by mistake, and that I don't have to frog every time I make a mistake. So I learned a lot. I got a lot of beautiful pieces out of it. I got some very wearable pieces that I wear a lot, and I got some more special pieces that I treasure and save for more special occasions. And I just really enjoyed knitting with the basic pattern and kind of seeing how I could make the pattern more my own, and everything I can play around with and do with just one pattern. And still, when I think about the Blouse No. 1, like I said when I talked about the t-shirt, I see so many more opportunities for what I can do with this pattern, and just everything I am able to make with it. I can make a like original sweater, a t-shirt. I will probably make another sweater but more tight-fitting. I've also seen someone else make a dress but more oversized because they did the raglan increases and they did it floor length, so you can also do that. So there's just a lot you can play around with and a lot of different outcomes you can get for just one pattern, and I don't feel like that is true for every pattern. Some patterns are very like you only get that one pattern and that one sweater or that one garment that you're buying the pattern for, but with the Blouse No. 1 I just see so many opportunities for what you can do with that pattern. So if you like stockinette and you like kind of the original look of the Blouse No. 1, or you want a pattern to play around with, I really recommend the Blouse No. 1. That was what I had for my Blouse No. 1 journey. I don't think my Blouse No. 1 journey is done yet, but so far I have gotten 3 wonderful different pieces, and I wanted to share kind of the pieces I have and what I've been thinking about when wearing them, and just a little bit about Blouse No. 1 because I have truly loved working with that in the last month. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment, that means the world to me. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!